Well, awesome, man. Thanks for coming, Eddie. This guy is how I would put it, the king of marketing agencies, entrepreneurship, scaling a business, probably one of the youngest guys I know that has a company, at least around Atlanta, that's got over 150 or whatever amount of employees that you guys have right now. So killing it, big inspiration for me when it comes to putting out content, building a business, and just all things success overall. So excited to have you here, ready to dive into some of the background, your past, and what you're doing now with your business and everything like that. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, bro. You want to give everyone a background of how we actually know each other? I think it's kind of funny.
Dude, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to get your perspective on it because I recall us meeting in Vima, which was direct sales it was basically an entrepreneurial type.
It was
of
network marketing.
There you go. But like we weren't on the same team or anything.
No,
it was like we were more so met through the like broader organization. And so I was one of the main leaders like in my market. You were one of the top leaders in your market, probably when you were at UGA at the time in college. Yeah. And I remember you came in.
Were you Southern? Where were you?
Georgia Southern,
okay,
yeah.
Cool.
And then between like Georgia Southern and then dropped out of college up to Marietta and kind of metro Atlanta area. But I wanted to ask you this. I looked at you transparently more as like competition, you know, both big egos. You came in a little later than me. You were like the new guy that just ran through the ranks, I think, right away. And then speaking at the conferences and stuff. And you were the big new guy. And then you had other leaders that you built up too. But we didn't get that close. So it's cool that we've stayed in touch. And then now I see what you're doing. It's a huge inspiration. But what was your recollection of us connecting?
It was pretty much similar, right? Like we met through Snyder and the Chiara brothers, right? Yeah. And so that was kind of like our mutual group, and like we hung out at events when we saw each other and stuff. So there was always a mutual respect. Honestly, even in college, like I didn't view it as competition just because I was in my own lane. The only competition I saw was like people in other companies who were trying to like compete with our network marketing company. And like even in our groups, I was always helping other groups, giving them sales advice. Some of my closest friends that even became my employees and things like that at my company were people in other groups who I never benefited from, but I always gave them advice, close people for them, stuff like that. Because I looked at it as like the bigger we all got, the more credibility we had and the more it would help everyone as a whole. So in a way, we were actually still all on the same team. We just weren't financially benefiting each other. But if I signed up 10,000 people and I got the top athletes in Georgia, that's credibility for you to go to Southern and be like, dude, the QB at Georgia is in Vima. You know what I mean? And so like it was kind of one big collaboration. So, but I wouldn't take it back for anything. That was the best experience ever.
You've always had that abundance mentality, right? Or was that something you had to intentionally develop?
Intentionally, I don't know about intentionally developed. I think I get it from my dad. My dad like always overgives to the point that like he loses a lot by giving to other people because, you know, they take advantage of it and things like that. And so I got that from my dad over time. So I was always the guy who would be nice to other people and give without like expecting in return. Obviously, as you get older, that becomes stronger, but you become more aware of who's taking advantage of you and who's not. And so now I draw more of a line of how much time I give to other people that we don't have some sort of like mutual relationship with and things like that. Because at this point now, you know, if you think about it, like my content distribution is really a way for me to impact a lot of people, right? And so like when I'm at the point where I'm so busy, not to be disrespectful to people, but if someone's like, hey, I'd love to pick your brain for an hour or cake coffee or whatever, like I can't do that. You know what I mean? I don't even like, I eat my lunch like on a call, you know? So, but like I look at it as through all this content distribution, I pay like 30 grand a month for my content team. That's money I'm investing to other people so that they can learn, so that they can come up, so that they can do that stuff. So I think I've always had that bit of it from my father, but I think over time, as you grow up, man, you start seeing all the like real money, all the people that got it good, they got their family's good, their money's good, you know, health is good, relationships good. They're abundant people, you know, like they'll give you time, they'll give you advice. They have small egos. I mean, everyone has a big ego, honestly, but they're humble, they give, you know what I mean? And so,
well, yeah, that's why I'm glad you brought it up, because I'll be honest, like I struggled with that and probably still do struggle with it more than I would like, which ego, and in my opinion, I always say is just a byproduct of pain, trauma, or unresolved emotions that they haven't overcame. So the mask is ego, but underneath that is actually pain and hurt. And that could be where competition from a place of scarcity and lack could come from. At least it was for me. Of like, okay, if Eddie wins, that means he's taking from me. And that's such a lack place to come from and operate from that will inhibit, my growth for sure. So yeah, I was definitely operating from that and still trying to evolve out of it.
Most people do, dude. And if you really think about it, the bigger you get, the less you worry about that stuff because it becomes so insignificant. So like you can tell how big someone thinks, at least financially, from like how worried they are about competition. Like when people come to me, they're like, dude, I have this idea, but you got to sign this NDA. I'm like, who the fuck? Like, I don't even, bro, I have $1 billion ideas that come across my table with no NDAs. Like who do you think, you don't even have an idea yet. Like, it's just like this thing in your head. Like it's embarrassing. I used to have that in college, like 100 a day of them. You know what I mean? Like, and so you can tell how people think from that standpoint. That's just one example. People who are like super tight about information and don't want to share with other people and things like that. That is the ceiling that they're setting on themselves because they think like, oh, my market is only this big. And so if there's someone else in it, then they're going to compete in this small little market. And you can tell how small their mindset is because the biggest people, they're like, oh, dude, there's $10 trillion a year in this industry that I'm in. Like, I'll never get past $1 billion. You know what I mean? There's another 1,000 billions still there at the worst case. So like the bigger you are, the more you realize like how much there is in these spaces.
I'll take it a step further, more spiritually, because I always evaluate things spiritually. When you give away everything that you think is valuable for free, it'll only open up more space for more ideas to supernaturally flow through you because the best ideas don't come from me, they come through me. And in order for me to open up myself to allow those downloads to come in, that's been the case for me. You mentioned your dad. Is he an entrepreneur?
Yep.
So I didn't know about your brother, A-Rab, until you started posting him the other week with that whole
the Haiti thing. Yeah, that's
drama and all that stuff. And then I was like, this guy looks just like Eddie. But obviously your parents did something right and intentional to create two people that are killing it in the digital age, building these huge online businesses and digital audiences. What was instilled in you guys when it comes to entrepreneurship or work ethic or success?
Yeah. Well, my parents did a lot to instill, and I'll talk about them, but it had nothing to do with our success in the digital age specifically. And I'll kind of explain how that happened. But basically, like, my mom was like super strong. So for example, she'd run like the church gala event and she would like solo go sell every single ticket to every single person, get donations. Like she's very like aggressive sales wise. Whereas my dad was always super creative thinking, really hardworking, like always outworked everyone, but was chill and like always gave back and like never bought nice things. And so we got two different contrasts of sides. So my outward sales personality comes from my mother. My internal creative ability comes from my father and like my entrepreneurial side. And my dad never worked a job. My mom never worked a job. They always like had their own things since we were born, like a flooring company. And then they got into like family entertainment businesses, like birthday parties, water parks, stuff like that. And so I never even thought like a job was like an option, honestly. So in college, I was surprised when like my friends were going to like career fairs. I was like, what is that? And they're like, oh, we're going to meet with like Home Depot to like make friends with like recruiters so we can get jobs there when we graduate. I'm like, fuck it. What are you're getting a job when you graduate? I thought we were like learning to go like make our own money, you know, like it really like looking back, I was so naive, right? I'm like, I never even thought that was an option. I was always like, what am I going to start? Like, I never thought like, where am I going to go work? And anytime I went and worked a job like Lifetime Fitness or supplement stores or whatever, it was always like in transition to starting my own thing. It was never like, this is the goal. You know what I mean? So that was really cool from them. And then from a digital age standpoint, I mean, I went to school to be a lawyer, to be fair. Originally doctor, then lawyer. That's kind of we're Lebanese, so expectations, lawyer, doctor, engineer, you know, typical shit you hear. And I did Vima. Vima was huge because it like broke me out of, let's call it the matrix, right? I was like, okay, personal development. Oh, I can read my own books and learn my own shit. I don't need to depend on teachers. I don't need to depend on dad. I don't need to depend on these people. Oh, I should invest in myself. So I started like, while I was in college even, I was spending money going to personal development events and like going and like improving myself as a whole. And when I graduated college, I started my own company and it didn't work out. And then I basically ended up like working out of my bedroom on a laptop. And like my parents were always like, fuck, what a failure. Like they're not saying that directly in my face, but they're putting pressure like, where's the money, whatever. And then I remember one day I made 10 grand in a day And I was like, look. And they're like, what is that? I'm like, I made this today. And they're like, no, you didn't. I'm like, yeah, I did. Like, this is like, people paid me this money today. And that was kind of like the epiphany moment for them. They're like, shit, like, he's been working out of his bedroom in our house. Like, we don't see anything because they're used to like flooring businesses and like companies, and you have to have an office and like all this shit, right? And I was doing like 40, 50K a month from like my parents' bedroom, and like showing them that, they were like, oh shit, like there's this whole other world. And I could tell, like, even in conversations with friends, you know, they're like, oh, what does your son do? And like, oh, my son's a head consultant at Deloitte. You know, what's your son? They're like, he does stuff from a laptop. Like, they couldn't even explain it, right? And then now they're like, oh, he's the best fucking marketing guy you've ever met. You know what I mean? And so
was that For Media?
That was For Media, yeah. Well, the business that failed wasn't For Media. It was a supplement company actually overseas. That's all like a whole podcast of its own. But For Media was like the original company that I started like to run ads from, for that like money that I was making.
Just solo,
yeah. And then I ended up bringing partners, and then my now current wife was my girlfriend. She started helping me with graphics, and then 2020 we started like hiring people. But before that, it was just like me.
What is the quick kind of A to Z of origin story to where you guys are now, from For Media to Bad Media?
Quick summary is I wanted to get into marketing. I was actually doing sales at Lifetime Fitness. I was the number one salesperson in the entire country. Like in every club by far. Like, it wasn't even close. Like, I would like save deals at the end of the month in a drawer on paper, which was illegal. Not illegal like law wise, but lifetime wise. And I would stash like 20, 30 deals, which is like a whole month of quota, just extra that I had because I was so far ahead. And I knew we would need them to hit bonus as a team next month. So I would just like stash them. And I didn't even care about like the accolade of like best in the company. Like, some months I would get second in the whole company by like 4 or 5, and I had like 30, 40 in the drawer. You know what I mean? But I would just like, I'm like, whatever, I don't care. I would even give like, and like people that work with me could attest to this, I would give out like 10, 15 memberships to other people so that they would hit their quota. And I was like, it's cool, keep the money. Like, it's not a big deal. So like, I was like, this is lame because I'm having to do one-on-one sales. I need to be able to do like mass sales.
Group sales, yeah.
And I had run ads in college for my family's business. I actually went to Lifetime. I was like, hey, can you give me a budget and I'll run ads for the club, and I'll be able to market and get us way more lead flow. And they're like, sorry, corporate does that. We don't let people at a club level. And I was like, fuck this shit. So I called my dad. I was like, hey, dude, like, I know you got businesses. Can I just come be the marketing guy? And I think I can make you a lot more money. He's like, you're making like 10, 12K a month right now. I mean, let's say 8 to 12K a month. He's like, I can't pay you more than like $2,500. I'm like, cool. I'll take $2,500 and 20% of increase in profit year over year. He's like, fair. I'll take you up on that. So I came in, I made him an extra $1 million net, got an extra 200K for myself. So I ended up working out really, really solid.
And this is what, early 20s?
Yeah, this is like 23, 24.
So you graduated from college.
Yeah, I graduated early because I was in college early. So I actually graduated, literally just turned 21. So I had just turned 21. I graduated. I went and worked at Lifetime for like a year. Between the thing before and Lifetime, it was about a year. And then like, so 22, 23 was when this happened. But I was more concerned with learning, right? I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I live at home. I don't have expenses. I'm not like going doing bottle service. I don't have shit to do. My mom's making food. I could literally make $0 and be okay with it. It was more like, I need money to save for the future. But I was like, I need to learn. So I need to get good at like mass selling. Like, if I can market, I'm like, if I can run ads on a phone, I could sell to 10,000 people in a minute. Whereas in person, it would take me an hour to sell one person. So like, it just, the math doesn't make sense. I'm too smart to like keep doing one-on-one. So that's what came out of it. I crushed it for him. Then I was like, I can make way more money. Let me go tell other businesses that I can do this for them. So I started like cold calling businesses, driving around, getting my own deals, and I basically got my own deal flow. I saved up enough money where I was comfortable, not like hundreds of thousands or anything, but like, 20, 30 grand, whatever it was. And then I was like, cool, now I can spend money on my own ads. Instead of driving and calling and doing all this stuff, let me just do what I do for other people. So I ran my own ads for my business, and we were cleaning it. I mean,
was this the Ty Lopez course days where everybody was doing the social media
maybe,
marketing
but I never took
or?
Ty's course.
Okay.
This was like 2017 for context. So like 7 years ago.
Because that was a big wave of people like pitching chiropractic offices.
Huge wave, yeah. It was during that time,
Okay.
for sure. But like, I was unaware of that. for context. Like I was doing it unaware that people were teaching it.
And what all were you doing? Running ads for them, social media management?
Yeah, running ads on Google, Facebook, like lead management, like automating their leads to CRM, email marketing, like
got it.
Pretty much everything on the business on the ad side. And then we ran our own ads, and then we were, I remember one day so for example, I would drive and call all month and I would close 15 clients, which like people like can't do, right? They're like, I can't even close like 2 or 3. I was closing 15, 20 a month, working my ass off to do it. And also fulfilling. It's not like I'm just selling, right? I'm like, everyone I sign up, I have to like do the work myself, right? So it's like this whole give and take. And then I was like, okay, if I could just save all this time, not drive, it would be so worth it. I ran ads. And then I started figuring out how to mass cold email market to people. So sending like 1,000 emails a day to like specific businesses. And dude, I remember one day we signed up 16 clients in one day. It was like, I was like, we're fucking rich. It's over. you know what I mean? I was like, oh, I didn't have to drive or call anyone. Like they all called me. This is incredible. And so that was kind of like the start. And I was like, okay, now we got problems. Like we got to hire people. Like I can't do all this myself. And so that became, Forum Media in 2020, and we grew, and then we rebranded to Bad Marketing October 23.
Powerful. And now what are you guys doing monthly now? Revenue wise?
1.7.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And what are you guys known for in the space and specialize in?
Like holistic growth marketing. So I don't do anything organically. So I don't post on people's YouTube, Instagram, stuff like that. But I'll run ads on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Google. I'll manage the leads. I'll create an entire email marketing system on the back end to keep that lead flow taken care of and converting them into more sales over time, because not everyone's going to buy on the first time, right?
But you guys are making a big push for coaches specifically right now, right? Or is that just
half? So we have about 100 employees on coaches. We have about 100 employees on e-commerce. It's a little more. It's like 120 on e-com, 80 on coaches.
Got it. Okay, so it's smaller agencies or coaches or consultants that are doing like minimum 10 to 20,000 a month that just need to scale out their operations.
No, we wouldn't work with someone that small. Okay. It would be like the smallest coach we have is probably like doing $1 million a year, for example.
Got it.
Yeah, and the biggest coach we have is doing $100 million a year. So like,
gotcha.
So we get paid on percentage of lift. So I'm not trying to get someone who's the biggest, because I have to charge way more of a retainer, but I don't have much more upside, right? Mm-hmm. So it's cool because they'll pay me 30, 40 grand a month, but I can't make 100. Whereas like if I take someone from 2 million a year to 30 million a year, he would probably pay me 4 million that year in bonuses. And so I'll take one of those guys all day. You know what I mean?
So not really medium to large size companies or corporations.
No, the only companies we would work for is like local businesses. That's like a third department in our business. That's where we started. And then we're like, okay, we need to make more money. So we need to get into bigger ceiling list markets where like, if I work with a chiropractor, I brought him 1,000 patients this month, he would literally die. Like he would have to refund 950 of them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, if I work with like an info product course brand, I could sell we had one guy, we did 7.8 million last month. No office, no like 5 team members. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, there's no like bottlenecks like that. And so we do have a local business department. We work with a few hundred local businesses, restaurants, chiropractors, stuff like that. But like on the coaching side and on the e-commerce side, it's like million a year is like floor.
Around, I won't say when you started, but around the time when you hit 16 clients in that day, what was your vision about where that company would have evolved to?
From the beginning, when I started hiring people, it went from like, I want to be good at marketing to like, at one point I was making like 30, 40K a month. I was like, you know what? At that time, I was like, my worst case scenario is everything. I lose everything. I know I can always get back to 30, 40K a month solo. So like, that's a security net. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't need more than that from me, my wife, and 3 kids. Like, that's it. Like 40 grand a month, I'm living a great life. So I was like, okay, I've established now that that's my worst case baseline based on that knowledge. Now, dude, if I lost everything right now, I guarantee I would take home like $2-3 million in the next 12 months. Like, it's impossible that I wouldn't. You know what I mean? It's really impossible. Yeah. I could just get on a computer and make it. And so at the time I was like, okay, cool. If I can at least make 40, 50K a month forever, guaranteed, at least that's how I perceive it, because I'm in control of my own outcome, right? And why don't I just build the sickest, baddest fucking marketing company ever. Like, I want like a massive HQ. I want people fucking going to Harvard and praying that they can even get into my company. You know what I mean? I was like, why don't I just like go big? Like, what's the point of playing small? Like, I already know I can make the money. What's the difference between $50K a month and $100K a month or $150K a month? I'm not buying yachts. I don't live in Miami. Like, I don't go do bottle service. Like, I buy like expensive watches and like a nice car here or there, but I'm not like fucking blowing cash. You know what I mean? Like, I wear the same shirt, like this $100 shoes. I buy 10 pairs of them, and I'm like, whenever this one gets dirty, I just switch to the next one. You know, I'm a simple guy. You know what I mean? So I'm like, now that that's all out the way, let me go big. I want every most talented person in the country, in the world, that wants to be in marketing to want to work for Bad Marketing.
So are you surprised at where you guys are right now? Did you think you would be further, or are you further along than you expected?
Okay. At the time, I couldn't comprehend the numbers we're doing now, right? I had my goal setting notebook that I would like write in every week. And I was looking at it with my wife. I was laughing. I was like, you remember literally like 2.5 years ago, we would like walk around our apartment complex. Every night we go on like a walk. So now in like our neighborhood, we'll go for a 30-40 minute walk. And I was like dreaming that we would hit 70 grand a month. And she's like, yeah. I was like, now if we do that a day, it's a bad day. And she's like, isn't that crazy? Like, it's 2 years, right? Crazy. So from that perspective, it's faster.
Yeah.
But from a different perspective, I feel slow. I'm like, okay, well, we should be at this point now or whatever it is. But now we're like an actual company, or at least I feel like we are. And so we have projections, like for the next 3 years, every month, every department, we know how much money they should each be doing for us to be on pace to do what we want to do. So like in 2024, in 2026, we're trying to do like $38 million of revenue. And it doesn't sound like a lot because like it's all based on margin, right? We're a service industry. It's very hard to do $40 million a year in service. Like, it's easy to do it in like logistics or distribution or whatever it is, because your margin's like percentage points out of that, right? Our margin's like 25 to 35%. Some months 40, depending on the month. Some months 10, depending on the months, right? But 25, 35. And so we're trying to do 38 million because then our company would be valuated at about 150. And that would feel like a big milestone for us. Like, oh, we did it. So in that case, we're moving on pace technically. Mentally, I feel like we're moving slower than we should be. And if I look back to like what my expectations were when we started, we definitely exceeded them for sure.
Wow. The certainty around if everything crashed, I could easily go earn $2 to $3 million in a year. Most people obviously don't have that mindset. How much of that certainty would you contribute to mindset versus skills?
I mean, at this point, it's like 90% skills. It's also the work that I've put in, right? Like, I have an audience. So I'll give you an example. Last month, I posted a story. I was like, hey, I open up spots in my mastermind. It's only for people who do $1 million or more in their marketing company. Let me know if you want a spot. I sold $300,000. You know what I mean? It's because I built up a reputation, all this stuff. So at this point, it's a lot harder for me to go like fully actually broke. Maybe lose my company, sure, but like personally go broke, it's kind of hard because I've invested so much into like my network, my actual content, my distribution of the content. Like it would be impossible. So from that standpoint, I think that's part of it. It's not mindset. It's, I think, more like network and attention that I have. And then the second side is skills, which I think is probably like 6. I mean, honestly, skills is 90% because that's really the safety net. Like if no one in my network wanted to pay me for anything, if none of them wanted to help me with anything, if no one gave a shit about anything, I guarantee I could go do like one contract with one company and it would make me $3 million. Like I go to a company right now and be like, hey, what's up? I want to open up, you guys do like 40 million a year on Shopify or whatever. I want to open up your Amazon and I'll take, I just want 15% of the profits on the Amazon side. I'll open it up for you. Okay, cool deal. No brainer. Take it. And if I did 10 million that year on, 4 million net, like I'm taking home 600 grand from that one contract, right. Just like working on a computer for a couple hours a day. Yeah. So I have the sales side, which falls under skill. So I have the confidence to go to Nike right now. I could walk into Nike's room and like, if I was prepared for a presentation, I know I could close Nike. You know what I mean?
It's also an amazing feeling to know that you're selling from such an ethical place of, hey, I have this mastermind or I have this service that I'm offering, and if you join, I will, certain multiple X your ROI on that, your investment on that. That's a good feeling to have, to know that you're that certain about your
and people
your
feel
skills.
The certainty, bro. You know what I mean? They feel the certainty when they talk to you. Like I literally, people are like, I don't know if I want to join. I'm like, cool, don't join. Like, so one dude paid me. He paid me 32 grand last week. And then like he complained that like he didn't get access like immediately because it was like a Sunday night, bro. I'm like, I'm not gonna like get on, give you access and onboard you. So he like sent an email complaining, and I was like, cool, the money's been refunded to your account. Like,
that's badass.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't need you, bro. You know what I mean? So when people are disrespectful about stuff like that, like that's how I've always built it. Dude, I could be making way more money.
Personal income, yeah.
No, even as a business, if we were like unethical, not unethical meaning like we're screwing people over, but like we're taking business we shouldn't, or maybe we're not prepared to take or whatever it is. Like in November, we turned away almost $400,000 of monthly recurring revenue. So $5 million a year just in November of people that like we believe that we couldn't do the thing that they wanted. But they were like, take my money. And we're like, we don't think like internally we're like, this brand, because they have these issues, I think they're going to pay us and we're not going to be able to get that result because they still have to fix these other things first.
Damn.
And so we rejected that much money that we guaranteed any other marketing company would have taken. They'd be like, oh, for sure, sign me up, bro.
And of course, there's going to be a compensation for that in some way or the other, whether it's through that company or just through law of the universe. It'll come back to you because of that decision. Is that because you are so committed to a specific niche, or it was more so a skill set thing?
No, it's more to a belief that we can actually deliver for this client based on their current circumstances.
Yeah, that's badass.
Yeah.
So you mentioned building networks is probably the most crucial part, and then the skill set is the other important part. Talk about initially building out networks. Like, was that on social media? Were you always good at building in-person communities? Obviously, you always had good relationship building skills, but talk to building an online community and network, and specifically because of maybe the resistance that you got in the beginning that a lot of people just quit after, trying in the beginning because they're intimidated by not getting the engagement or anything like that. Like, speak to that story.
Yeah, it's funny. I was I was with my best friend yesterday at the gym. We're walking on the treadmill. And he's like, bro, it's fucking crazy. He's like, no one will know like how much. We started going back. We're like, remember this job you had? Remember this? He was kind of going through my past because he works with me. He's our head of our local department. And he was in Vima and everything. And he's like, dude, no one will actually know. Like, he's like, I want you fucking post. He's like, I remember you telling me like, we need to make content to get attention like 6 years ago. He's like, I remember 6 years ago you posting videos and like 2 likes. He's like, you give a fuck. Like, I don't expect to go to the gym and then leave the gym and everyone's like, dude, you fucking look like you work out. You know what I mean? Like, that shit takes years of doing that, dieting, all this stuff. And so that's how I looked at content, right? I'm like, okay, great. Like, it works. There's people who get millions of views. There's people who have all this stuff. It works. It's just me that's not working, and I need to polish whatever it is, my message, how I'm saying it, how I'm editing it, what platforms I'm on. It's a game. And so let me play that game. But that's also mixed with in-person, right? The in-person is such a big lift for me because I'm so good on stage. I have really good stage presence. I'm really good at speaking with people. Dude, at my event, for example, in January, every year we do an event for agency owners in Avalon or Nashville. We kind of switch between them. Dude, like, I do not sleep for 72 hours just because in my head, I'm like, these people paid to be here and I will give them every ounce of my time. Like, I'll be out with them till like 1, and then I'll do a podcast from 1 to 3 a.m. and then I'll sleep and I'll get up at 5:30 in the morning to like start the next day. Cause I'm like, these people spent $5,000 to be here. Like, and part of it's like to be able to have a conversation with me. Like, I'm not going to disrespect that.
A dope perspective I just heard was referencing The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, and he was getting interviewed in that documentary, and they asked him about performing, and he said, I have to perform at the highest level at all times because I know there's a father up there in the stands with his son, and they've saved up for weeks to get to this game, and it might be the only game that they get to come to, and that's who I'm performing for. Such a high level. 2 questions on what you said about social media. How did you find the motivation to continue when you weren't getting that social validation? And how does somebody evaluate if they are actually on the right path and it's just more consistency that they need, or they're just not good at what they're doing?
Yeah. Let me put it this way. I think one of my superpowers is the fact that I am very I don't know if self-conscious is the word because self-conscious sounds like a bad thing. Self-aware. Let's call it self-awareness. I have a lot of self-awareness. I mean that humbly. I'm very unbiased in my self-awareness. And so I'm intellectual enough to evaluate. I'm looking at content. It's not working. It's me. It's not the content. If I'm working out in the gym and I'm not getting the results, it's me. It's not the gym. You know what I mean? Like it's always me. If I get fucked over by a business partner and they screw me over, it's not them, it's me. What did I miss in the contract that allowed them to do this? It's me. And so like I've had this very strong self-awareness post college. I didn't have this in college like that. In college, I was always trying to like everyone else. I'm trying to blame everyone for why that's it. Why this person, I'm injured because fuck this person. I'm fat because of this person. I got a bad grade because of this person. I can't get with this girl because of this person. You know, I'm always trying to blame everything on everyone. Whereas post college, I had a moment and I was like, you know what? It's all me. I can actually do whatever the fuck I want, but it's all on me. Like I can't blame anyone else for anything or any of these results or whatever it is. And so that's how I operate in everything. So content is the same. Like if I can find one person that the thing works for, then I know it works. It's on me. Do you know what I mean?
Do you remember when that switch happened of being a victim to I'm a co-creator of everything in my life, positive or negative?
Yeah. So it was before I started working at Lifetime Fitness. There was that business I started at the end of college. I'll tell a short summary of what the business was Bodybuildingcom. So I basically started Bodybuilding.com in the Middle East. I saw that Middle East where I'm from. All these people, bodybuilders were getting huge. Gyms were opening up everywhere. No one had good supplements. It was like all trash overseas supplements that were like fillers and like really bad for you. And I noticed all the people on social media over there were like following the athletes that are sponsored by these other huge brands. And they all want these supplement brands that they can't get because they're only in America. So I was 20 years old. I couldn't even drink. I went to all the billionaire owners of all these supplement companies and signed every single one to exclusivity contract for the Middle East. So Eddie Maalouf was the only person that could sell their products in the Middle East at least for 2 years. And if I sold X amount, then it would renew forever, right? Like it would just keep renewing. So it was like the sickest thing. I was like, dude, I'm a billionaire. It's over. Like I signed these contracts. I did the hard part, right? I was like, it's a fucking, I still have the papers to this day saved because it was like.
What's so funny though is like how many times do like ambitious entrepreneurs have that moment of I'm rich, I made it. And it's like, it sounds like for you it was a lot.
Yeah. But really I always look back, I'm like, that was a multi-billion-dollar company. And here's what happened. So I did all the paperwork. I did everything. Like I got to the lab work. I got them approved by them. Like I just went through so much shit. And then I got to politics in the Middle East that are super corrupt. And they kept stopping me from doing things because like someone else's pocket was involved, if that makes sense. So like, oh, I want to bring in the supplement. Oh, well, you still got to bring this other paper. I'm like, you told me you needed this 15 things and I brought them. Oh, bring this other thing. I'm like, cool. I'll get the other thing. Here you go. I got it. Well, now you got to do this. I'm like, they're fucking with me. Like, how much control do these guys have over my business? And so I actually voluntarily quit that business because I never want to be in a business where someone has this much control over me, right? I could be a billionaire and they could take it from me the next day because they decided they wanted to change a rule on me. Like that's not where I want to be. It would be a waste of my time. And that was the moment I was like, okay, like moving forward, I want to be in charge of my life. I am in charge of my life. I get to make my own decisions. Everything's on me. And I'm not going to get into an industry that has laws like this because that defeats my ideology of it's all on me, right? And so that was the day I kind of decided that was the way I needed to operate. And so you build that muscle over time. It's not like you're just like, okay, I'm operating like this and now like I'm invincible, right? But like over time, you become more and more and more self-aware as you make more mistakes. You know, you look, well, what could I have done better? And then you realize what that thing was that you could have done better. And that creates more awareness every single time, right? Because if you don't find that thing that you can clearly identify, this is what I could have done better, you start to deny that it's your fault, right? Because you can't find the thing that 100%. Was your fault in that situation. Yep. But the more you can identify it and stop and be like, what did I do wrong there? Like, why is my wife mad at me? Yep. Like, is it her fault? Or maybe it is, but what could I have done to have avoided that? Okay, 100%. That's what it is. Okay, boom. That's 1 point. And then you keep adding those points over time. You build that self-awareness to the point where there's always something. I can't leave a situation that was wrong without being like, what could I have done better? I'll give you an example recently. What was it? It was such a big deal. Something happened in our company and let's say like a client left or something, right? I was like, what could we have done better? Like, no, guys, like there's nothing. This person had this. And everyone's coming up with every reason why we couldn't have done this thing better. And I was like, guys, what could I have done better? Like, not even you guys. What could I have? There has to be something. Could I have said this differently? No, dude, honestly, I thought your delivery was perfect. Oh, I remember what it was. We went to pitch on a webinar. We pitched on a webinar on a Sunday like 2 weeks ago. And we're like, okay, we want to do like 400K on this webinar. And we did 200K. And we got off and I called the guys. I was like, hey, what could we have done better? And they're like, honestly, bro, I thought you killed it, man. I think fuck, the audience sucked. Like, these guys are broke. Like, they can't afford this. Like, I'm telling you every excuse. And I was like, guys, like, what could I have done better? They're like, dude, you fucking killed it. It was perfect. I'm like, no, I didn't. There was something that stopped us from hitting that number based on our projections. What is it? And like, they couldn't give me an answer. So I had to go self-reflect. I came back to them. I'm like, I think here's where I could have been better. And they're like, now that we're trying to close people on sales calls afterwards, we think these 2 things could have been better that we could have done. I was like, cool, look, now we have like 4 things we could have done better that we can take till next time, versus leaving and being like, fuck, these guys, they're all broke. That's why they don't want to buy.
You had this mindset before, or probably right at the beginning, but probably before you started your business out of your parents' house, right?
Yeah, but like, it was this big. You know what I mean? Now it's like...
Because I just think it's an absolute requirement if you want to build success. The moment we shift into a victim mentality, we're outsourcing our power to be able to deal with the problem. Because the moment it's somebody else's problem, we outsource that opportunity to come up with a solution and become better.
That's exactly the problem. Yeah. It's like, once you're like, oh, I couldn't have done anything better, you've given up control of improving.
I talk about this in relationships. If a guy gets cheated on, the first thing he needs to do is ask himself, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, dude, you're in that situation for a reason. Well, it was her. It's like, no, dude, you weren't meeting certain needs or in your masculinity enough or certain about, your future vision or whatever the case is.
And there are cases where it is maybe her for something, sure. But like,
that doesn't help you.
Exactly. Like, what does it help you into the next relationship? Oh, it's my ex-wife, she's fucking crazy.
In every relationship challenge dynamic that I'm helping people navigate through, I always say, there's not much progress we can get done if both parties aren't willing to take full responsibility.
Yeah.
And come with that attitude, because it's not going to end up being one person that's 100% wrong, but at least come to the table willing to be like, I did something wrong. I don't know what it is, but I'm open to figuring it out. And it's the same in business. Talk about the role personal development played, because you said early on in your entrepreneurial journey, you were going to seminars and stuff. What significant role did it play? And does it still play a significant role? Or are you more now specialized into like niches as far as your development and learning? Or is personal development as a whole still something you value?
Okay, so I think there's levels, right? I think I've like passed all the beginner levels of mindset stuff. I think initially it's so important, because the biggest reason people don't succeed is because of their mindset. It's not because their skill set. It's not like I know some dumb ass people making some dumb money. Like, you know what I mean? You're like, how the fuck is this guy doing it? It's just because like he doesn't have a limit of like, I'm being stopped. True. You know what I mean? And like he's no skills, whatever. Obviously some skill. Delusional optimism, exactly, right? So mindset, I think, is like super important. And I think that's where baseline success in personal development happens, is like that. So I think people need to master that. Once you're past like mindset, and don't get me wrong, my mindset could always be better in so many areas. I could be more disciplined. I could diet better. Like there's always areas of mindset that you could be better at. Once you're past that tier, I think you start getting more specialized. So like I'm in marketing now, I need to consume marketing content. So I'll pay for every marketing course. I'll go to every marketing event. I'll do all this stuff. And I think you consume enough of that where your frequency goes down a lot. You're like, okay, I don't need to learn new shit every month. I know most of the shit. Everything else I'm going to learn is by someone else innovating or by me innovating it. And that therefore is new information that we didn't have last year. You know what I mean? And that's the only way I'm kind of going to be able to learn in my specialty. So that's like tier 2. And then tier 3 is networking. It's paying to play in those rooms. It's literally like I pay for events. Dude, I paid $50,000 for a day with someone, just 6 hours. 50 grand. And by the way, I had 200 to my name. So like not even, I had like 140, 150 to my entire name. And I spent 50 grand to be in a room with someone for 6 hours, just one-on-one, because I knew over the next 5 years, how much money am I going to make from this 50 grand? And it's crazy. I was talking to my wife about it yesterday. Me and him are like super tight friends now, this person. It's been 3 years since that event. In those 3 years together, we've made over 7 figures together. Like just like in our own like sub relationship on the side, not even work. And we're like homies. I would fly across the country if he needed something, and vice versa, et cetera. And so all from that. And so like the last level is networking. How much are you willing to pay to get a seat at the table? And all these people have too big of egos. They're like, oh, I'm important. Why would I pay to go meet with this person? Like, I'm important too. Like, you should value me. But bro, you're not important until you meet someone and you actually provide value to them. Otherwise, you're just another dude on earth. There's 8 billion of us. You know what I mean? Like, respectfully so. Like, unless you're Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, like, you're just, you could be doing 100 million a year, bro. No, the other dude doesn't care, like, until he meets you and you actually provide value. Like what's in it for me, right? And so I'll pay to be in rooms. So level 1's mindset, level 2 is like skill set, level 3 is like networking and Rolodex. Like I'll pay to be in whatever room it is. If someone's like, hey, we have 10 guys on a yacht, each doing $20 million a year, 10 grand. I'm like, done. Sign me up. No, I don't even question it, right? Because I'm like, those are 10 guys I'm going to meet. And over the next 5 years, how much business are we going to do together? Like even our wives might start hanging out because we all have kids and we have businesses, and that helps my wife, which helps me, which helps my kids, and like all these things that come from it. And so that's how you start thinking at those top levels, at least, you know, the level I'm at, I'm not, there's so much more to go. Right. But networking is the biggest leverage now. Cause now I don't, like when I first started, it's like, how do I fix this marketing problem? I'm going to YouTube, I'm going to Google, I'm going to a course I bought. Now it's not the case. Now I send 4 text messages. Person A, B, C, D. I'm like, what would you do in this scenario? What would you do in this scenario? What would you do? And I take 4 answers of people that are the most qualified. If I have people who are great in their relationship and they have healthy, you know, relationships with their wives and all this stuff, and I need relationship advice, that's who I'm going to go to. I'm not going to go online and ask some guru of like, wonder what I would do if this happened. You know what I mean?
You just shared a badass story on one of the podcasts I was watching of that same situation with hiring somebody. You had a bunch of ads out, job ads for hiring a certain role. You couldn't fill it. And then you sent out like two texts and had like 16 interviews lined up.
Exactly. Of like the best people. Yeah, right. And so that's why and if you think about it, dude, here's how I look at it. Pre-social media, like social media is great. It's distribution, it's attention, it's masses. It's like leveraging time so much. But like pre-social media, bro, like people couldn't just like post something. They had to like call people. Hey, Gabe, I'm hiring a CFO. Do you have anyone in mind? You know what I mean? Like there wasn't just online job posting boards and all this other shit, right? And so I think too many people have swayed from that. And so the opportunity is actually there because those same people who used to maybe get called 100 times don't get called like that anymore because we're in a different time, right?
Talk through, time check. All right, cool. Talk through maybe some of your most valuable investments and then maybe some investments that you took the biggest L on.
Yeah, so most valuable investments, always my brain. Like always. So like buying courses, being in like specialized masterminds and groups. Like in every industry you're in, there's tight circles that people pay every single year to be a part of that share very high level specialized information, but also like really good networks. Those are always the best investments. So like I could sit here and be like, oh, I made a lot of money on crypto or stocks or whatever it is. But like those are always my best investments. My actual best financial, like straight crazy story was COVID hit. I don't even know if I told the story, but like COVID hit, all travel shut down. Right. I did the math in my head. I sat down, I was with my dad on the couch. I'm like, he's like, man, I wonder what's going to happen to oil. And I was like, man, oil, you're fucking right. Like no one's driving their cars right now. Oil companies are still pulling oil. They're putting them in barrels. They're storing them. I was like, you're fucking right. We're about to have so much overages on oil that they won't even know what to do with it. And when everything turns back on, the price of oil is going to boom. Dude, I took every dollar I had. I took every dollar of loans that Robinhood would give me. Any sort of trading platforms. I took all my parents' 401ks. I'm telling you, I took everything and I put it in oil stocks at $2 a stock, and it hit $40 a stock. I 20x'd. It was crazy. And so that was like the coolest like financial play because I was like I just couldn't wrap my head around like it wasn't even like I'm reading charts or anything. It was just like I was like I had an epiphany. I was like, duh, like this has to happen. And I wasn't expecting like 15, 20x, right? I'm expecting like 3x. Fuck it. That's huge, bro. 3x your money in a year. Like who does that? Especially like money that's loaned. That's not even yours. Like if they give me 200 grand and I turn to 600 and I just give them their 200 back, like sign me up, you know? And that was a huge play. Cause in that year I went from like 200 grand of money in stocks to like 2.8 million, like in a year. And it was I'm living in my parents' house. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm driving an Altima that like doesn't even turn on. And I'm like, yo, this is 2.8 million is crazy. I was having like 100K up and down days. So that built like mental fortitude of money, right? Cause like I didn't have it like that and I got it.
The money consciousness.
Yeah. And I was just seeing like minus 150K today. And I'm like, fuck. But you know, I'm not like, oh, I gotta sell. Like I was like holding, right? And then I go up 200K the next day and I'm like, cool, but like I'm not gonna go buy something nice because I made 200K today. You know what I mean? It built kind of that like
tolerance.
Yeah, insensitivity to it almost, which is good and bad, right? Worst thing I've done is, I've invested in other businesses that had partners that I thought were capable of running the business that weren't. And in my head, I could run the business myself or save the business, whatever it was. That's why I invested the money. But it's always opportunity cost, right? When I got to the point where I was like, I have to save this business or lose all this money that I put in because these guys suck or they're fucking me over, whatever the case is. The decision was, how many hours a week is it going to take? Let's say it takes 20. How much opportunity am I losing by taking my 20 hours away from my main thing and putting it into this other thing to save it? And I see so many people make this problem is like, they don't value opportunity costs. And so they'll leave dollars for pennies because that's the thing that's hurting. If you got like 10 things going really good for you and like one is going horribly, a normal human will spend 90% of their time on the one thing that's going poorly to fix it, as opposed to just spending more time on the 9 other things that are going really well and make those even better, right? Everyone's just so concerned with seeing the thing that's wrong versus like, it's okay to have like a sort of thing that goes wrong as long as I don't take away from these things that are going right to help that thing. It just doesn't make sense, right? It's like valuing your toxic friend relationship more because you're trying to fix it as opposed to investing in the one that like actually cares about you.
Maybe for context, give the number of the L and how quick your recovery was to getting over it and moving on. Because I think a lot of people get...
Yeah, I got you. So the L was like $330K. That was the L. They actually like straight stole it essentially. And I could like sue them, go after them. It's going to take 2 years, lawyers, negativity,
time, opportunity cost,
like opportunity, everything, bro. I couldn't even get it out of my head, dude. My daughter was born, like my first daughter, and like I wasn't even there. Like I was there in the birthing process, but like after she was born, like my wife could see me like spacing out and like, are you thinking about it? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, how'd I get fucked over? What could I have done? What went wrong? Like, how could these people fuck me? I did so much good for them. Like, yeah, like you start going down this whirlwind, bro. When someone you really give a lot to just like blindly stabs you in the back, takes everything literally, you start being like, I'm never going to trust anyone. Like you start going through some dark places mentally. And I'm very strong mentally, I consider myself, and I was in it. And so I was like, man, I can't do this. Like if I go and chase them, I'm going to be in this mentality for 2 years, 3 years till it gets solved. Then I'm probably going to fork out half the money to lawyers, if not more. Or opportunity cost. Let me not think about it. Let me try to put it behind me and let me go find a way to make 330 grand in the next 3 months. Like, how can I make 330 grand more the next 3 months? I know I can figure it out. And then the next month, back to network, I ran a promo with a friend of mine. He's like, hey, let's run this promo. I'm like, great timing. Love it. Let's do it. We did it, and we did 330 grand from the promo. So like I recovered it within 60 days of it getting gone. Obviously it'd be nice to have both 330s, you know what I mean? But it was more of like, man, this person reached out to me, didn't even know the situation. And we ended up flushing that money like as a wash. All the money that got stolen, we kind of make it back. Yeah. So we're back to zero, which is great. Like I'll take that over minus 330. And that was a huge learning lesson. I was like, you made the right choice by like not focusing on the negative and focusing on like, how can I take the thing that's working and use that to compensate for the loss on the negative side? And
how cool is it? Like a quote that we're familiar with by Napoleon Hill, but for every failure comes with it an equivalent seed of opportunity. Because of that L that you took temporarily, it turned out to be a win because then you opened up your capacity to develop more skills, see more opportunity in the future, and then supplement that loss 60 days later. So obviously you recovered financially. Has it still affected you emotionally, or did it affect you emotionally a long time for like the relationships, or did you also overcome that part too?
It affected me emotionally for like a few months.
Was I always say the truth is the only thing that'll set us free. Not only the truth sets us free, but sets everybody involved free, and it's the only thing that'll set us free. And so in any time of struggle, finding truth, which usually involves our responsibility back to taking full responsibility for our life, is where we can find the freedom for it to not have control over us. Was there that moment of truth for you too? Of, damn, here I am again. Like, yeah, I got screwed, but this is my responsibility, and that truth allowed you to break free from it?
I think it was coming to the conclusion that it was just that I learned. Here's what kind of set me free was I was like, you know what? Like, I have a list of the things I could have done better. I should have like put this in the contract. I should have not had them have access to this. I should have audited this loan I didn't know about, whatever, all the reasons. And then there was the like I'm trying to think how to word this, but basically like I looked at it, I was like, if this mistake right now cost me $330K, I'm glad I made it now because I'm on an upward trajectory in my life. And if I made this same mistake 5 years from now, it might've cost me $3 million. Mm. And so I will never make this mistake again. Mm-hmm. And so that was enough justification for me to be like, I'm cool. In that moment, let go. Like, I got it. What is the good that I can extract out of it? That was it. It was like, made this mistake, it cost you 330. This same one in 5 years is going to cost you 3 million with a different business. You'll never make it again. And so therefore in my head, I'm like, I just saved $3 million. And so like, that was my way of justifying it. And I was like, I'm cool with that.
And I'm sure you have the attitude that we either win or we learn. There's no such thing as losing. But for others, you talked about making investments in yourself and courses. For others that are in a really hard financial situation, money's tight, they got families, kids, responsibilities. How do they get over that mental barrier of investing in themselves when they're operating out of such lack?
Well, it's a hard cycle to be stuck in because the lack is what's stopping you from investing. And you need the investing to get you to stop thinking so like tight from a mindset standpoint. I think if that's the case, it's just really as simple as just understanding that that is the only way to get to that thing. I was talking to someone the other day. He does well. He does like $60K a month, $70K a month. But he's been at that point for 3 years and like he can't get over that point. And I was like, and he's in the marketing world. He's actually here in Georgia. And he commented on something on my story. And I was like, dude, respectfully, why haven't you ever bought anything that I've sold? You know how well we do. And you know I know this space. I'm respectfully asking you, not being a dick here, like why the fuck have you never paid me for anything? Like, I sold so many awesome products and you know we're legit. Like, man, it's a mental barrier that I need to get over myself and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, cool. Well, I want you to understand this, that there are certain mental barriers in this life, in this world, that you cannot overcome on your own. And it requires someone else unlocking that door for you. And unless you go and invest in yourself for them to unlock that door for you, you'll never get there. Like you can, as much as you think you can do alone, there are so many things where it just requires someone else sticking their hand down and pulling you up. And if you can't go pay that person or invest time with that person, whatever it is to do so in yourself, then you can't expect to ever get there.
Man, that's good. Focus and concentration is everything for success. And in order to develop that focus and concentration, people struggle with concentration. You have to have an emotional investment. But what people are missing a lot of times to develop that emotional investment is the financial investment. Once you make that financial investment and you get out of your comfort zone and it's something that keeps you up at night and wakes you up early in the morning and you're like, if I don't make it happen, things are going to be bad. That's the kind of investment that you need in order to take it to the next level. I want to talk about relationships. The reality is relationships operate from value exchanges. And, you know, some of my friends will challenge me on this because it's like, oh, relationships is not all about value, a value equation. How do you operate spending time with and associating with people as far as in your personal or business life? Because I have a theory that all successful people, they're very cutthroat when it comes to the time that they invest with others or allow into their space. But is it as radical for you, or how do you view it?
I was talking to a friend yesterday about this, and he just, long story short, he's really big online. If I told you who they were, you'd be like, holy fuck them. Sorry if I'm not allowed to swear on this, but
you're good.
And I told him, I was like, hey, listen, man, when I first met this guy, and the only time I've ever met him, I could tell he was so over efficient with his time. And that was like his justification for everything, was like, I need to be super efficient. And that was his like justification for like being rude to someone or direct or whatever it is. Cause he was, every minute had to count and it was over efficient. And I was like, when you're that over efficient, you value transactional value over like human value and relationship value. And I was like, and I could have told you from day one that he would have fucked you in business because he would have put money over your relationship. And that's exactly what happened. In their business. He basically put money ahead of the relationship, and so they have to split ways now. And I think anyone who's like that over efficient about it will never be able to go deep on those relationships because they'll always be thinking, oh, I'm spending an hour at my daughter's ballet practice. Like, this isn't efficient. You know what I mean? They'll always justify selfishness as efficiency. Oh, it's efficient. It's not, this is inefficient. Why are we driving here? It's inefficient. Like they'll make up every reason. And so all my real friends who are in the business world, they make time for their friends. They kick it with their friends. I call them, they'll answer. If someone calls me, I'll be like, I can't answer now because I'm on calls for 6 hours. I'll call you tonight. Like, you can always make time for something else. It's just a matter of priority. My priority used to be like business, family, whatever, health, you know what I mean? Now it's like family, business, like things change, right? Friends, whatever it is. But I'll tell you like one thing that I'm so proud of myself for, and we'll stand on this, not a ego thing at all. I am like the best friend that someone can have. I always show up for all my friends. Like I'm not even talking about like rich friends. I'm talking about like friends who have normal jobs who we just grew up with our whole life. And anyone in my situation, not anyone, but most people would be like, oh, I don't hang out with that guy anymore because like he's broke. You know what I mean? Like I don't do that shit, bro. I'm always there for all my friends. If they need anything, I'm there. I'll give them all advice. I'll give them money for shit that they need if they want a loan for something. I am like the most loyal and most giving friend of my time and energy to all my friends. And I always go out of my way to try to put gatherings together. Hey, let's all meet up. Like Thursday's the NBA finals game. I'm like, hey, let's all get together. Oh, we don't watch basketball. Who fucking cares if you don't watch basketball? Let's all hang out together. Yeah, I'm always trying to go out of my way to do that. And so I don't feel like you have to sacrifice that. That being said, if you're outside of my priority circles, my close friends, my family, my business, people that work with me, then it's harder for me to make time for you because I only have so much time and these people are occupying it, right? And so like when someone that I don't talk to is like, hey man, can I spare an hour of your time? Honestly, probably not. You know what I mean? Because like, you know how there's 15 other people that are more important that I've said no to respectfully, that I can't hang out with them or whatever it is. And it would be wrong in my order of priorities to like give the 16th most important person a yes, and I declined all these people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's just, I didn't expect you to give that answer, but it's a powerful and I think very healthy answer, because I struggle probably more so with how you were describing your friend as far as efficiency, effectiveness, what's the opportunity cost, where's the ROI? Because if you don't have boundaries in your life as far as just allowing your mind to be consumed by anybody as far as association and negativity or people that aren't as driven as you, then it can affect you. But it sounds like you have that good, healthy balance of like, you know, your priorities and your structures and your disciplines, but also you have a good heart to still love on people that you care about.
Yeah. And dude, you could be efficient in certain times of the day, dude. Like when I get home at like 7 p.m. tonight and I'm, you know, my daughter sleeps at 8:30. I don't think about efficiency in that hour and a half. There's nothing efficient about that. I'm just trying to like spend time with her. You know what I mean? And like, if you can't separate those two, like you're in for like a really shitty life. You know what I mean? Because you will always be stressed about efficiency and like, how could this be more efficient? How could I improve it? Bro, sometimes I want to be as inefficient as possible.
Well, I also think it comes, for me personally, from a place of lack and possibly not being as productive in the time that you do have for work as you should be.
That's probably a big piece.
If you're 110% at work, which I know you are, you're coming home and you're ready to be at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And look, dude, don't get me wrong. When I first started and I didn't have a family, I mean, I lost 3 business partners, not because we had disputes, because they physically couldn't keep up with me and they volunteered to leave. Like they were like, I can't do this, bro. You're working 17-hour days every day. Like I literally can't. I can't do this with you. Like I'll be like 12 hours in, they like bust open a video game. Like I need a break. I'm like, break, bro. We haven't even started. We haven't even made money, bro. Like, like watch the fucking video I told you to watch so you can learn how to do that thing. You know what I mean? Like I was intense and I'm still intense, but it's like, it's obviously different when I have 200 employees and like pieces. I can like navigate the pieces and they can move versus me having to move everything too. And so,
but you still have a healthy balance. Speak to that. Balance is kind of a glorified word as far as like, you gotta have moderation and balance. But again, I could be wrong on this, but I would assume you didn't have much balance from starting that business till
I had no balance starting
in the past couple of years. So how many hours were you actually working on average per week? What did balance look like? What role did balance play, or does it play in your life right now?
When I first started, I was definitely working like 100 hours plus a week, like every week, no matter what.
Can we be real? Is this required to get to the level that you are at?
How fast do you want to get there is my response, right? So back to the balance, to the balance thing, because this is the answer you're looking for. You've ever seen like, you know, when people want to charge for services, there's like a toggle that they have and it's like, you know, time, speed, quality. And it's like you turn one off or you turn one on and another one turns off. You know what I mean? That's balance. So it's like, at one point I was like, dude, I want to be a billionaire. And I was like, that's all I care about. So I'm going to go work hard as fuck. Right. And then I got a wife and then I got kids and I'm like, you know what? Like I'm cool with 100 million. Do I really need $1 billion? Like, what am I going to do with $1 billion? And then, so what happened was, instead of me like working so hard to get to $1 billion as quickly as possible, now I'm like, dude, if it takes me 15 more years to get to $1 billion, but I get to spend that time with my family, my kids, be healthier mentally and physically, like, I'm cool with it. Like, what is the rush to get there so fast? I kind of just had this moment where I'm like, you know what? I'm cool to reduce speed of getting there. Outcome will still be the same. It's just going to take longer to get there. And in doing so, I'm going to have a much healthier relationship with my children, my wife, and all this stuff. Because here's how I look at it, man. There's seasons to everything, right? So you start in grind mode season, you got to get off the ground. I do think it's necessary to work a ridiculous amount of hours if you really want to get to that level when you first start. Like, I'm self-funded, no money. No one gave me any money. So I have to put time because I don't have money. So like, that's required. If you just have a bunch of money from VC or parents or whatever, then you can buy other people's time, right? But time is required when you first start. So if that's all I can give, I'm going to give as much of it as I can. And my girl understood. We were in long distance, whatever. But as you grow, like, okay, I made some money. I have team now. I'm using my money to buy back time. So now I can spend some of my time in the other areas of my life that I want to, like my family, like maybe some personal stuff, playing video games, whatever it is, right? Like, just balance. If I wanted to right now, I could work way harder, have way less balance, and be way richer, way quicker. But like, why?
At what cost?
Dude, at what cost? You know how many guys I see, dude, that are in their 40s? Money, watches, cars, Miami lifestyle, $20 million mansion, divorced, okay relationship with their kids, but like not really because they have to split time with their wife.
Still
and
in
like
the clubs.
Yeah. It's like, even without still in the clubs, just like all the other stuff. I'm like, dude, do I really want to have all these other things for money? Like a paper, not even a paper, bro, a number on my phone, a digital number, like that. I'm going to sacrifice all this for that. And so like, your priorities start changing and you start picking what's important for balance. But how I look at it is you can still do all of it. It just has to come with a sacrifice of something. And in my case right now, my sacrifice is speed. How fast am I going to get to where I want to get to? I'll get there slower and it'll cost me more money because I'm going to put less time myself. But I'm okay sacrificing money and speed to have a really healthy relationship with my family and be able to do some of the stuff that I want to do outside of work. And don't get me wrong, I still outwork 99.9% of the population. You know what I'm saying? I just can understand when I need to spend time with the family and it's not always about work.
How much has building your personal brand helped accelerate speed as well? Because there's a ton of successful marketing agencies, most owners that don't have personal brands, or at least didn't in the last 5+ years.
Yeah.
How much has that contributed to your success?
Oh, immensely. I can't even quantify it. It's just so crazy. But even like going to an event to speak, and I go to speak and like, a tenth of the room, 20%, 30%, depending on the room, sometimes 80% of the room already knows who I am because of my personal brand. I have authority before I even walked in, right? Yeah. And so what people don't realize, your people on social media aren't just like buyers, but they're referrals, right? So if I have like 100,000 people follow me on Instagram and 10,000 engage, let's say regularly, okay, 10,000 of them engage regularly. Dude, those 10,000 people, like most of them aren't going to ever become customers of mine. But over the course of time, how many people they're going to tell to work with my marketing company? Like every single person they come in contact to that needs marketing, they're going to be like, oh, you should work with Eddie. You should work with Bad Marketing. You should do this, right? And that's so invaluable. Like people have no idea, dude. I get so many deals because people are like, I have been following you for 5 years and my friend has this $100 million company and he wants someone to do marketing. I said, he should definitely work with you. And they won't just be like, oh yeah, go talk to him, see if it's a fit. They're like, no, you can't work with anyone else. This guy's the fucking best. You know what I mean? And that's what that creates. And that's like a few years in, right? I can't imagine 15 years in, right? And so I look at like someone like Gary Vee. I'm like, of course, all these guys want to work with him because fucking everyone who's referring to Gary is like, oh, I love Gary. Gary changed my life. You have to work with Gary. You know what I mean? And so I'm sure in 15, 20 years, I'll be like that, right? But yeah, even now, the impact that it's done is crazy. And I literally like probably once a week, like thank myself. I'm like, dude, best fucking move was like when you sat down in the car and you were like, I'm going to make content, like non-negotiable.
So probably one of the other top 3 best investments you've ever made is on your brand.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's the one that you said you're deploying $30,000 a month into, your personal brand?
Yeah, that's just in content like creators. Like between my personal brand and my Bad Marketing brand, we have about $30K of payroll of like just people who shoot and edit videos just for the brand, not for clients.
Nowadays, with how noisy social media is and everything, and controversy is a hot topic, is that required to build a brand, or at least build a brand quick?
It's not required, but it's definitely a catalyst, right? And it's not necessarily about controversial. Sometimes it's not about the thing that you're saying. It's about how you say it, right? I could be like, example, I could be like, I think women should be like housewives and be supportive of husbands, and I think it's their duty to be a good mother and all this stuff. Or I could be like, yo, women belong in the kitchen. I said the same thing in a way, right?
Yeah.
But it's just how I said it was different. Guaranteed, women belong in the kitchen, 300K views. The other one, 7,000. Like, that's the gap. You know what I mean? And so it just depends what kind of brand you want to build. And I'll have a mix. And I feel uncomfortable doing like saying shit like that, right? Like actually putting it on my own content because it's mine. And if you look at the people that follow me, there are some high level people that follow me, like very famous people, hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and they follow me. I'm catering to those people in my head as well. It's like my brother, for example, he's huge on YouTube. He's always like, bro, you got to talk to like noobs. He's like, you're talking too high level and like all this shit. You got to talk to noobs. And I'm like, that's cool, bro, but I don't want noobs. It's not who I want to talk to, bro. Like, I'd rather have 10,000 very well articulated grown men who have families, who are successful or on the path to success, than 10 million fucking 18-year-old kids who are like trolling the internet and like don't have profile pictures.
I want to get your thoughts on this take. I don't think it's controversy that actually penetrates. I think it's willingness to close the gap between what our truest, most authentic thoughts are and our most truest, authentic delivery is. Like the guys that are blowing up, Tate, for example, I don't agree or support most of his messages, but what I do respect is he's just flowing exactly what he thinks and feels about life.
Yeah.
And I think if you can close that gap between what you actually feel and the delivery, that's what people resonate most with because it's real.
I would add to that. I don't think that's the case because just being real is not enough. But it's in Tate's case specifically too, it's his ability to say something that people believe to be true that they can't say out loud themselves. Mm-hmm. And so therefore they resonate with the fact that someone else said it and they're like, oh, I feel the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, then everyone comes out, oh, I feel the same. I agree. You listen to what this guy's saying. Yeah, I've always thought this, but I can't say it. You know what I mean? And so that's that situation, in my opinion. I think a lot of content is either fueled, it's two ways. It's either in strong agreement, like thank God someone said this, or strong disagreement, this dude's a fucking idiot for saying it. Mm-hmm. Every one of my top videos, and I know which one will do well before I even post it, is me saying something that normal people disagree with. Like why I fired someone, or why I didn't accept someone's job offer, or for example, like the other day, I'm driving in downtown Alpharetta and I see like an automated Chick-fil-A truck, like for delivery. I was like, 500K views, easy. I filmed it. I was like, why the fuck is there a guy on a bike following the automated machine? What's the point of it? It was just like literally controversy, but like it's so obvious it's beta testing. Like I'm not retarded. You know what I mean? But I'm like, let me post it. I posted it, bro. To this day, every day I get like 50 followers from that video. To this day. It's been months. And it's like every day it's at the top of my notifications. Like just another like 5,000, 10,000 views every day, right? And it's because of that, right? People are like, it's beta testing, idiot. Right? But like for that one guy, there's like 1,000 people who don't comment who are like, oh, I like this guy's profile, and they'll follow, right?
Confidence is obviously a huge trait that's been a contributor to your success. Where have you drawn the line between confidence and ego, and how much has your confidence helped you, and possibly how much has it hurt you in your past?
Okay, cool. So I think everyone has ego. I think ego is good if controlled. I think ego gets out of hand when you become too cocky about things and think like you know everything, and ego becomes a lack of self-awareness. And so I think that's a problem. And everyone uses this word ego because ego sounds like the dude who walks in a room with his chin high, his chest out, and tells everyone to fuck themselves. That's what everyone perceives ego as, right? But like ego, I think is I think it's necessary. I think it just needs to be controlled. Confidence is literally everything. I built it up in college, actually. on the way to college. This was like my epiphany moment. My dad was driving me to UGA to like move into the dorms and stuff. And we're quiet for a second. I was like looking out the window and I was like, man, I haven't been like a cool kid. I've been like the funny kid, but not dating the hot girls. I'm not like the cool guy that everyone wants at the first guy at the party. And I was kind of going through all this stuff. And I was like, no one in college knows who the fuck I am. In school, you go from middle school or elementary to middle to high school. So like you're with the same group of people. So whatever they thought of you in first grade, they still think somewhat of you in fifth grade. And they still think the same thing in ninth grade. Like, oh, Gabe's a loser or Gabe's a nerd or whatever it is, right? I was going to college. I was like, dude, I could be whoever the fuck I want to be, actually. I could technically go delete all my Facebook pictures right now. And the only thing anyone would know is like their interactions with me. And they're like, Eddie's cool as fuck, then Eddie's cool as fuck. And that's it. So I was like, I can create my own identity today. So that's what I did. I actually went through my Facebook. I deleted all the pictures that I thought were weird or loser photos of me. And I went to college and I literally like made a commitment for the whole year. I met a new person every meal and every class. I go to the cafeteria. If there was 400 empty tables and one dude sitting at a table, I'd be like, hey, could I sit here? And they'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy at like 6 a.m.? And they'd be like, sure. And then I make a friend. Then I sit in class and I'd pick. I'd like, haven't met that person, I'll go sit next to them, right? And so I just started making friends. And so it gave me that confidence to, one, to not get, like if I got rejected, who cares, right? So that translated into confidence with women, right? Because now I'm like, I'll go up to any girl and talk to her. And like, if she doesn't want to talk to me, she can go fuck herself. I don't care, right? Whereas before I'm like, oh my God, like I'll die if she says no. Which then translated into VIMA, network marketing. Now I'm like, I don't go, dude, people, I was a master class on campus, dude. Sometimes I'd have like 10 people from my team. I'm just like, sit at this table, watch. I'm like, pick one. And they'll be like, those two guys. I'm like, watch. And I'll walk over, I'll be like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I do my thing at the event that night, like every time, right? Because I didn't care about getting rejected. And then over time, you start shaping what are things that people react well to or not well to, and you start kind of understanding different personalities. Now I can talk to someone within 5 seconds. I know what kind of person they are, and I know what kind of like traits I need to show to them or communicate to them in a certain way to identify enough with them that they want to keep listening to me and be attracted to it. And the way I talk to you would be different than the way that I talk to him and someone else, etc. And that's been pivotal in everything. That's how I get clients. That's how my content does well. That's why people want to buy tickets for the stuff that I sell, get coached by me. And so
you're automatically drawing that feedback based on their responses and everything. There's so many different topics we could dive into that, but I know we got to wrap up. One thing I do want to say on that though is how so many people are missing out on their greatest blessing by avoiding why they got rejected, again, seeking that truth in the failure or in the loss, because that's where you can actually learn. And people just, it's a topic of even social media, like followers and not building it organically or paying for likes and engagement, which I would love to get your take on because I'm sure you could go hard on it. But I think that's the biggest poison to creativity, because in your mind, your results are inflated. And so you're not testing or challenging yourself as much as you could to be like, damn, this didn't perform as well, so I need to get better. So you're just avoiding the blessing to be able to challenge yourself to get better.
Yeah, like if you're a single dude, bro, and you get on Bumble or Tinder or whatever, and you send a pickup line to 100 chicks and all 100 reject the pickup line, you should probably change the fucking pickup line. You know, like it's
or the profile pic.
Yeah, but like usually the pickup line, if like all of them blow you off on the pickup line, you're like, I should probably change whatever I'm sending. It's like same in everything in life, right? It's just like self-reflecting enough to be like, I should stop. It's like, what, you know, we used to always say this in VIMA, like insanity is doing like the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Yeah.
Last question. So the sell of the agency is a consideration, it sounds like, for the future. I don't know if it still is, but you've talked about that a bit. Let's say hypothetically you did sell it for the goal exit that you would be looking for. Do you know your quote unquote purpose? Do you believe in having a specific purpose for why you're here? What would your life look like after that?
Yeah. So here's the thing. How I look at my purpose right now is I think I can like mass impact a lot of people in this world through like content education. And dude, I have people who come up to me in conferences, like big conferences, that I don't even know who they are. And they'll like them and their wife crying to me. Like, you changed our life. We can send our daughter to private school because of the content you post. And I did this in my life. And like, and nothing is more incredible than that, bro. I could get $1 million wire and it's not anywhere near that person crying in front of me and telling me I changed their life, their daughter's life. And so impact is what I'm looking for, and just playing really fucking big. So I don't have like a specific, like, my goal is to help 10,000 people or whatever, because I feel like that's so limiting. But I'm always trying to play big and I'm always trying to impact other people. And so let's say we do sell, which honestly at this point we've kind of changed the plan to like, let's just use our agency to buy other companies and sell those companies and keep the agency. The reason we wanted to sell the agency is because it's very fucking stressful. It's the most stressful business. It's like dealing with hundreds of different companies. Each one has its own reporting. Each one has its own projections, its own targets, whatever. And like the first person to get blamed is the guy who doesn't work at the company, which is us, right? So like, oh, we didn't hit projections on this. Like agency, we're mad. You know what I mean? And you're like, fuck, I'm so stressed. It's Saturday. Like, why is this happening? You know what I mean? So there are times where you're just like, man, this is so stressful. Like I'll take $100 million and get me out. You know what I mean? So that's on the table in the future. But at this point, we're growing. We have so many opportunities. We have people giving us equity. We have companies that we really like that we're able to invest in and grow. We invested 10% of an $8 million company in December for $800K. That company we just got offered, and this was in December, we just got offered $45 million for that company. We said no. So like, where we're like, why don't we just do that? Why don't we just like buy 10, 20% of these other businesses, help them grow, and then take our cut when they exit. And instead of us making $100 million off our own and losing this engine that we're building, because we really built an engine, right? It's like a hub of the most talented marketing people in the whole US, or sometimes the world in some cases. And they're all working at the same place. And we can take any business concept and just turn it into a way better business. Like I bought the restaurant chain here in Atlanta. Dude, I paid like 4 people who are box designers for restaurants online to design me a box. All trash. I went to my own internal content team. I'm like, hey, you guys up for a challenge? Like, you've never designed a box for a restaurant. You want to give it a shot? I'll give it a shot. And they made the box and I was like, this is incredible. Like, this is 100 times better than anything else. And I was like, dude, we're like literally building a hub of like the most talented people to work together. And why would we give that away to someone else if we're always going to be in business? And so if I sold, I don't know what I do, but I'd damn well still be posting content. I'd still be coaching people. And I'd probably buy, probably like $50 to $60 million of real estate just to like have a secure 6-figure monthly passive income from that. But I would then take that 6-figure monthly passive income and go do something with it, right? Yeah. So
amazing, bro. Well, big belief I have, the more income that you make or the more revenue that you drive through your company is an indication of the problems that you're solving. So the more that you grow, bro, you're having a way bigger impact on our community, the world, than you may even know or get recognition for. So appreciate you, appreciate the inspiration that you put out, everything that I learned from you, how you move. And there's a lot of people watching that you may not know, but you're a big inspiration in us and in the city. And yeah, it's an inspiration to keep on striving to get to that level of impact.
Hey, same to you, bro. You're making a lot of impact in the city right now, especially with these events you're doing. Like, I can tell you're doing a lot of good for this community. And, Atlanta's lucky to have people like us, contributing back. Bro.
Well, yeah. Let everybody know, I guess, where they could find you, how they could follow the journey.
Just first and last name, any platform. YouTube is probably the most valuable. Instagram is the most consistent.
Do you do events for like the regular individual or?
No, not really.
Just businesses, agencies?
Only other people's events. I'll go to them and I'll speak at them. Cool. Like yours, for example. But yeah, I won't.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Well, Eddie had an event down in Miami, so he had to reschedule, but hopefully we'll get you back on the calendar to come out to event eventually. So appreciate you coming, bro, and excited to do this again soon.
Thanks for having me on.